Well, hi there, Winning Waves fans, and welcome to another edition of your favorite show. And we've got a tremendous show lined up for you because obviously Saturday was the big Need for Speed race day where they all went, the Group 1s at Scottsville. And on top of that, we had need for a little bit of a goalkeeper from Liverpool. What the hell happened?
They put a poll out. Liverpool have put a poll out now to see who Liverpool's best goalie was. Yeah. And Karius got 11%, 66% to Stevie Wonder, and Ray Charles got 30%. So the poor boy, the 24-year-old guy, I can't believe what he did for the first one. The second one, I know the ball swerved, but he threw it in the net. Yeah. You know, I really feel sorry for the ball movement because at 2-1 they had a chance. Losing Salah, they were under a lot. They started well.
What happened with Salah?
Salah gets pulled under. He gets his arm, and the guy gets his arm and brings him down like that. And he's got no way of stopping himself. Yeah. So he hits the shoulder. Now it's going to affect Egypt.
Sergio Ramos, apparently.
Yeah, Sergio Ramos. Yeah. You know, Sergio Ramos knows every trick in the book. He's been a sensational player, but he knows every trick in the book. And he hooks the arm, and he brings him down with him. He never meant to do his shoulder, but Salah's got no way of protecting himself in the fall. So that was poor old Mo. He was quite upset.
Well, that made all the difference to him. What was it, 20-odd minute? You know,
they looked good when he was on the field. Yeah, they passed the ball about.
I thought they beat them.
They're very good going forward. Once he went off, suddenly there was a different mindset, and the other team were on top. And then they battled. They came back with a good equaliser, but they threw 2 in. So they got to be aggrieved and disappointed. But these things happen. It's funny how the top sides seem to come away with the wins. And Gareth Bale, I think he's the second guy in the UK to score 2 in a final. And it was good for him because his career was on the line. And
I think he's going anyway. They say that he's going
anyway. After that, they're saying they've got to keep him, you know. Oh. And rugby, the Sharks flattered to deceive, James. I don't know if you were back in town.
No, I didn't. Unfortunately,
they went out to play against the Jaguares.
Yeah, and they got beat.
Yeah, James, to their credit, they fought hard. At one stage, it was 17-13. They were losing, and they got on the attack. And a guy with hands, I've seen better hands on a digital clock. And the guy knocked on. They got it and they scored. So instead of them going 20-17 up, they were suddenly 24-13 down. They scored another try, 29-13. But the Bulls couldn't beat 14 men off some Aussie guy, and his wisdom headbutted an opponent in front of 72 million people. Yeah. And so he was sent, but his team just got better and better without him, with 14 men. So they went missing as well. And the Lions and the Storm was a close game, but the Lions came through.
Well, the Lions are the best side in South Africa. We all agree on that.
Yeah, I think when they're all sound, they are. When they're all together, they are.
Yeah. Listen, if they had Warren Whiteley, they'd win this competition.
Yeah, well, Creel missing, Whiteley, a lot of top players.
A lot of top players. What was interesting was I watched the best game I think that I've watched for a long, long time was in miserable conditions. Was the Hurricanes playing the Crusaders. That was an unbelievable game.
That was rugby. You know what my game of the weekend was? England, who have their first test in South Africa in 2 weeks' time, played the Barbarians. The record is 9-7 over 16 games. And England were going to blood youngsters in that. But these guys, the Barbarians, had spent a week together. Lamb was the coach, so he said, I'm going to give them an easier week in the sense of camaraderie. She was 21-0, they were up after about 20 minutes. They were magnificent. Throw the ball around. And every time they got a try, James, they did a little war dance. Yeah. A different dance after each try.
How many South Africans did we have playing for them?
None. But it was a good team.
Ashton Williamson didn't get in the team?
No. They had Ashton, who can't play for England because he's based in France. Yeah. He scored 3 tries in the first half just to shut them up. Yeah. But it was running rugby was at its best. And you know, Barbars, you wear your club socks. Yeah. It was a great game of rugby. And I'm chuffed to watch that.
Was there anything else worth watching over the weekend? I saw Rory McIlroy. I saw Rory McIlroy toss the...
Molinari. Molinari played well.
Molinari, good for him.
Yeah, he held them off. You know, Brandon Grace got up close and some other guy, Victor or something. But I think the weekend belonged to the horses, James.
Okay, well, we're going to go and see the horses later and go through them with a fine-tooth comb. But until then, let's have a look at 3 that you should be having a look at to follow. Right, well, we got a Greyville on Wednesday, and I watched this in the dead of the night with one of the part owners in Australia, Steve Davis, and we're very excited about this horse. I think a lot of him, and we thought he got a pretty tender ride, this horse. Have a close look at Sigismund, the Dynasty Alistair Gordon trains. He ran very well in a barrier trial. Watch how he runs here. We pick him up, he's drawn 8, never really gets in the race, and that's about it.
Yeah, he gets himself in a position where Divine Path goes across him, so he loses a bit of ground. But on the outside, the winner, Fitzwilliam, shows good pace and good initiative to get over, whereas Craig Zacke's given him a chance and let him settle in. And all the speed up there has Fitzwilliam, but I think Captain Schnell's in front, Fitzwilliam's second, and on the outside, Divine Path. But this horse, what's it called? Sigismund.
Sigismund,
He's
yeah.
quite a long way back here, James.
Sigismund. He's quite a long way off the pace. But what's interesting in the straight is Zacke doesn't get to move on this horse at all, really. He sort of sits in behind as they turn for home, and then he comes out, and he really is still posing here, making not much effort to get the horse in the race.
Someone should told him it wasn't a barrier trial.
Yeah. And here just gives the horse a shove along, and he's starting to run on nicely. Now he pulls a stick in the left, watch him. And this horse really starts running on well. He gets a backhander, and then he puts a stick down. And actually, that's how he rides him to the line. You know, he basically runs on really, really well. And I think this was quite a nice horse.
Yeah,
and
a well-bred horse.
Probably bred by Maritzfontein Wilgerbos. I think that's where he's from. Now let me have a look here. Yeah. And they own a share in him with Steve.
Steve and Natalie, I believe.
Yeah. And he's told me he's got a couple with you, which is good. Yeah. He's a great supporter of South African racing.
He loves South African racing. It's affordable, and he has a lot of fun, and he watches all the races.
Yeah,
that's his big plus.
He's just such a great guy, and we'll talk about Australia later. But he's one of the people we love to bump into and see in Australia. And we're going to move on.
And he's a Kiwi.
And he's a Kiwi, yeah.
Yeah, him and Burnsy are both Kiwis. 2 legends come from the other island.
Actually, it's quite interesting, the rivalry and the sort of almost simmering dislike for each other.
From across the ditch, as they call it. From across the ditch.
Anyway, we're going to go and have a look at Greyville, the poly track. It was a barrier trial. And we pick up Tony Rivlin's, I think this was a filly lap, unfortunately I wasn't
Captain L filly, you weren't here.
Yeah, they don't show barrier trials on...
No, they funnily enough are getting them up to speed. This is a big girl, doesn't know much about it, and a lot of horses, even the runner-up here, which you noted when we looked at it earlier, runs a very good race. But I was impressed with this horse because Tony, I knew about this. Tony wanted to make sure she had a wonderful introduction because she could get a little hot, and she's a Captain L. But let's go and have a look. First naval officer.
Right there, she is drawn 2. Doesn't come away that well.
No, she's a bit in the air as she jumps. He forces her. I think it's Mindler and Thule. He forces her to keep her, but she's all over the place trying to learn, and the outside horses come across and get themselves in a better position. The 3 that are showing speed, funnily enough, fall out of it, and the horses come on from behind some of them. I was impressed.
The horse that's in front is Brian Bernard's. It's a Voltaire or something. It's an Australian.
Yeah, Voltaire's got a lot of speed up there, and Variety Concert, respectable.com, I think it is. But have a look at this horse in behind them in Mary's colours. And little Mindler gives it a run. But James, the horse who runs second, can you see it 2 off the right?
Yeah,
at
the
2
back.
Off
the right, yeah.
It's called
switched out.
Yeah, Pearl Tiara. Remember the name as well. It's a horse chestnut.
Horse chestnut runs on really well. And this really, I think, can run. It absolutely swoops on them just under her hands right. And then he just puts his hands down. But the horse that run third, the horse on the inside, go and have a look at them all. These barrier trials are very interesting because there's been a big Hullabaloo, and I just want to touch on this with you because you were the initiator of this, and I think it's one of the greatest incentives we've seen in racing for certainly 20 years. What is interesting is if you go back and have a look at that horse that won on Wednesday, that was 12 to 1, Funzel's horse, and I think there was the Hullabaloo, but I ran 12 lengths behind it in the barrier trial, and then it won its first race.
Yeah, but it was 3 lengths of second.
If you watch the barrier trial, it's very, very interesting to watch the horse. That's why you've got to study barrier trials. Go back. Gold Circle puts them all up on the www.goldcircle.co.za. You go and have a look at them. That horse actually ran a cracking good barrier trial.
Yeah.
Cracking good barrier trial.
Because the winner of the barrier trial had won, you know.
Well, the winner was an older horse and, you know, class. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But the barrier trial, really you can find winners out of here like you can't believe. You've got to just have a close look at what's going on.
You always get down to watch them, Jan.
Yeah, love watching the barrier trials because firstly you get to see the horse in the parade ring.
Yeah.
Then you get to see them trial, and then afterwards you get to see them walking around and see which ones are the ones that are reasonably fit and which ones are the ones that are blowing the house down. And just make a few notes, keep a black book. You want to win money at the races. Barrier trials are the best thing you'd ever seen. Anyway, let's move on and go and see a race at Turfdean where we might have found a couple of pretty good ones. First race at Turfdean, 27th of May. Let's go and look at Victor Fourth.
Yeah, here's Victor Fourth. This is from the Humble Hero stable, Joe Soma. He's got Lyle Hewson. It gets scrimmaged out of it, and suddenly it's at the back in the yellow silks, easy to follow. This looked an interesting race because I thought Bienvenue or Mojito Magic would win it, and that towards the inside. But the winner looks very useful. Socrat is an Australian horse from the Michael de Kock stable in Sheikh Hamdan's colours. But have a look, second last in the yellow is the horse we found called Victor Fourth.
Okay, Victor Fourth in the yellow. You've got Mike de Kock's Epaulet. Socrat ends up winning it. Is on his outside, so it's just on the right-hand side of him. The horse in the yellow is 3 or 4 lengths behind, and Socrat now goes on to win his race. Goes and does his business.
Yeah, and the other horse, Victor Fourth, has fallen out of it. It's at the back. You can see it in yellow. Lyle is having a good look at the ground because he's moved from the outside towards the centre of the course. And Bienvenue is now being tackled by Socrat, who looks very good, the Socrat. But have a look at the third horse, or the second horse, Victor Fourth in yellow.
Right, that starts to take off, gets a proper ride to the finish, and runs a cracking good race. I think that's the type of race you want to see from first-timers. You want to see them get out there
and run on,
and certainly run on and get ridden to the line by the guy on top. Good ride, good run. Certainly worth having a look at by Pathfork and interestingly bred by Lammerskral. Now you'll see that we'll talk about Pathfork later, bred by Main Chance. So this horse, Pathfork, he's moved and we'll talk about him later.
I'm impressed with the Pathfork. They're good looking horses too.
I think that he looks like another Toreador type horse. Might just be a little better than considered. Anyway, those are 3 that are worth having a close look at. We're going to have a look at what shouldn't happen, and we'll be back with you. Well, for those of you that are wondering, actually this horse is just having a roll and was caught in a compromising position. It hasn't turned up its toes, as you might have thought, but it really shouldn't happen. And we'll be back with Plum of the Week.
It's still Storm Ruler the leader. Sunny Bull du Toit is now putting on the pressure behind that top classman. And Sunny Bull du Toit still under the hands though, hit the front. And Sunny Bull du Toit from Storm Ruler. But Sunny Bull du Toit comes home lonely, wins it by 2. Second position, that will go to Storm Ruler. Third, Pure Logic, and then top classman.
Well, the well-named Sunny Bill du Toit won 3 in a row. You could have got 15, 16 to 10 on Interbet about this one. Put in the right place by the right.
They've given it a great intro into racing. So there's 5 starts, I think 3 wins in a second. And they saw this opportunity. It's done well on the poly. And they managed to get 4 fits back and got a very good ride from Luke and was never going to lose if you watch the race.
Yeah, certainly looked like the business, as I said in the podcast, either it wins or anything could win. It was one of those races. And he won convincingly. It will be interesting to see how he goes when he gets on the grass, this horse.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, they might have thrown him in the deep end. And I looked at the Daily News, but I'm not sure. We'll know sometime today if he's going for that.
It was interesting to read about how it got its name in Sporting Post. You know, Sporting Post will get the bottom of the stories.
I don't know. Tell me the full story.
They tried to name it, and the Jockey Club turned them down, and the National Horse Racing Authority turned them down, and this and that. And then they eventually, Sunny Bill du Toit, there's one guy who works there. It's all Hollywood, you know. It's all the guys that work there. And that's how they ended up.
They've got a very good setup now, you know. Owi's put his money in. He's got James Everett running it. They're very organised. And watch these colours. You'll see them in the winner's circle many times. They're very organised, this bunch.
Well, good luck to them. And they won the Interbet Plum of the Week. So it just shows you, rather have a bet with Interbet, you're going to get to 16 to 10. That will help you. We'll come back with current affairs.
Best race time odds, transparency of betting markets, friendly and super efficient staff, the ability to negotiate odds, a full service tote with no limits, which is very important for exotic players, loyalty program, speedy withdrawal of funds, full odds, multiple betting, and excellent in-play markets. These are just some of the many reasons that come to mind as to why I believe, as a serious punter, there is no online operator in South Africa that can realistically come close to matching what Interbet has to offer. Put simply, there's no other site like it. And the ability to negotiate odds adds to my fun and enjoyment. Interbet, where the professionals bet.
Right, welcome to another edition of Current Affairs. And James, you just come back from the Australian shores. You went out for the weanling sale, and I was looking at the stats. They're flying Magic Millions.
21% up on last year for the weanling catalogue. They had more weanlings. They had 540 odd catalogued. It was, it was something.
They were paying big money for the top lots.
There
was a Fastnet rocker.
21% average up. That shows you how the market's flying. For weanlings, Paul, they were ridiculous. And I had 11 on my first day, which I thought was sort of $30,000, $40,000 horses. I thought that's what you have to go with. The cheapest was $80,000.
Good eye, James.
Yeah, good eye, but not good on the pocket. Yeah. Anyway,
Your budget, James. You go there with bush racing budget.
Well, that's the thing. Go there with a sandwich budget to buy champagne.
Buy champagne.
But
did you get to see all our mates?
We did. As we mentioned, Steve Davis, Burnsy was there.
Yeah.
Barry Bardich running the show. You know,
Job.
I played golf with Jerry Harvey and said to Jerry, how's it going with Barry? And, you know, I saw Vin with the Darley jacket and the Darley cap and that. And Vin's a great guy.
Godolphin.
Yeah.
He's in charge of Godolphin.
Yeah, well, Darley's Godolphin, isn't it? Okay.
No,
Catch a wake up. Darley is the breeding arm of Godolphin.
Okay, so he's wearing Darley stuff, not Godolphin.
No, he's wearing Darley stuff. Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens in Australia, you know. Anyway, Vin was there in great shape with all his mates around him, and sends his best to you. You know, you've got a great relationship with him, and you'll probably end up seeing him when you go next week.
Yeah.
But
Chook, did you see Chook?
She's fantastic. Chook, for those of you who don't know, is Rowena Smith, who runs the show, and we've had her on our show. But the amazing thing about Chook is that you only have to ask her once.
That's right.
And it's done. Yeah. I mean, never, ever have I met a person who's efficient as her.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
We had a very good dinner with her. She took us out to dinner, which was great. And the way they organise everything, you know, Andy Williams was there, and Marsh and David Hepburn-Brown, Len Block, there were the whole lot of South Africans there as well. David Payne was there, you know. Bester, well, we had him on the show the other day, and
was he floating around?
He was doing a lot of business. James is the kingpin of bloodstock agents.
Yeah,
I mean,
he is, sure.
For a guy who, you know, couldn't ride a horse at Clifton, just shows. No, he's done brilliantly, James, and his wife. You know, she does all the veterinary work. Yeah. It just such a wonderful vibe.
Yeah, it always is there. It's fantastic.
Brilliantly organised. The food, as usual, they cater. She tells me they cater for 500 people. And, you know, it just runs.
Yeah, it runs smoothly.
The whole thing runs.
I'm pleased Barry slipped into the seat and taken it on. It's fantastic, a fantastic break for Barry, good lad. And I'm pleased you saw Clinton and Burnsy and the auctioneers, they're all there.
Yeah, they're all there, Steve Davis. And then, as I said, I got lucky. I always end up playing golf with Jerry Harvey, which is
he's the owner,
nice.
For people who don't know.
Yeah.
He's the owner.
Him
and Katie.
And his wife, Katie, runs Harvey Norman, you know, which has got thousands of stores all over the bloody place. And his
How's
daughter...
he at golf?
He's very competitive. If the ball's in a bad lie, he moves it onto a good lie. Okay.
Oh, that is competitive, yes. That is extremely competitive. I'd
he
be
says
competitive.
That he says that he made 5 pars, okay?
Yeah.
But what he did was he missed 5 putts, which would have been par. He's a great guy to play golf with, and he's a really,
there's a South African
really nice
connection
man.
to him, isn't there?
Well, his daughter, who's a show jumper in Europe, and he just told me he's bought a property next door to Jan Tops in Holland, and Jan and Edwina Tops are the biggest and best in the world. His daughter's marrying a South African.
Oh, good for her.
And I don't think he's been in South Africa for a long time. Oliver, whatever his name is, and so he's pretty involved in the show jumping, Cherry. But he plays tennis. He plays tennis with Brian Levine. I don't know if you remember Brian Levine or knew of him. I knew him quite well in Joburg. Brian Levine was a Davis Cup player, South African.
Wow.
Top player. Okay. And Jerry loves tennis. That's his game. Golf he plays.
So he's active for a man of his age, eh?
79.
So yeah, he's active, eh? Sure.
And
good luck to him.
You can see it sort of permeating through Magic Millions, his influence and what's going on. It just runs well, and I think all the vendors were pretty happy. The buyers.
Well, I hope when I get there that I can afford a couple. I'll be trying to get 2. I'm going on Saturday night.
Up your budget.
Up my budget.
But it should be fun. We know it will be fun. They look after you. You'll have a great time. Right, let's go and have a look at the rest of the...
let's start with the race that took place in Cape Town, Jim, before we look at the racing news that you've got there. There's an ideal world called Rainbow Bridge. Chris Gerber owns it, and it's trained by Eric Sands, and it had won its first 2 legs. Its first 2 races, it was 2 for 2 and came from way back last time. This is a very good horse. And it had to take its toughest test to date. It was the Winter Classic at Grade 3.
Well, let's go and pick him up at the 600, and then we'll talk about this horse, because he's now been, he might be supplemented for the July, but let's look at the race and we'll see where we think he should be going.
10 lengths off that leader. Man About Town is racing back, one from last, and Pacific Chestnut is going to whip them in on the bend for home with 600 metres left to go. It's Springman, the one in front. Rainbow Bridge, different tactics on the heels of the speed. Then we find on the outside Double Mint. Towards the inside of that plot we find Morning Catch. They being followed by Ancestry, who's being angled out, and so to Love Happens. With 400 metres left to go, they settle for the run to the line. Down the inside, Springman, Rainbow Bridge is quick to move up on the outside, and he comes forward and takes the lead. Rocket Countdown is going through on the inside. Then we find Double Mint being followed by Morning Catch. It's Rainbow Bridge, the one they got to get to. 100 metres to go. Rocket Countdown is wearing him down on the inside. Rainbow Bridge, Rocket Countdown, Rainbow Bridge won it from Rocket Countdown. Double Mint, Springman, Love Happens, and Morning Catch.
Well, there we go. Chris has got himself a very good horse here. The runner-up is the Rocket Countdown, is the one that's been supplemented, I believe.
Yeah.
Runs a good race too.
Very good race indeed, and Candace trains him, Candace Bass Robinson. And you just look at the way this horse ran this time. They got him right up handy. In last time, because winter course, they wanted to get him handier, and he won convincingly. I thought he won very, very well, this horse, and I think he's and I'm so pleased for them. Colin Gordon runs the whole show.
That's right, yeah.
For them, and Eric Sands, is a great mate of ours.
Yeah.
Going for, I would take the triple. He can win lots of races next year, this horse.
Yeah, he's a young horse, and I think Eric's always been able to handle a top horse.
You'd like to be in the same league as African Night Sky and Pocket Power. They're the only two other horses that have won the Triple Crown. Imagine that. We'll have Triple Crown winner in South Africa, and then we'll have Triple Crown winners in America and in Europe.
You're already making the Derby a good thing.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the Derby, because it is this weekend, and I think Saxon Warrior, I think he'll win it. And I think he'll win this in Leicester.
Hasn't Bernhard got a runner?
Bernhard's got a runner called Young Rascal. I think he won the Chester Vase for William Haggis.
Okay.
And really nice to see Bernhard have a runner in his own race. And we wish him the best. And if anything wins it, that's the one that we wanted to win. Bernhard Cantor loves this racing, and he's always been a great racing man. So that Investex involved in the Derby is purely through Bernhard Cantor.
Absolutely.
And I must tell you, it's probably the best sponsorship they've got.
Yeah.
So
Young Rascal we're shouting for.
Young Rascal we're shouting for. Saxon Warrior's the horse he's got to beat.
Yeah. James, there was the Irish 1,000 guineas this weekend.
Yeah, a couple of 1,000 guineas, but the Irish one was the one that interested us because Alpha Centauri won it. It's a master craftsman trained by Jessica Harrington.
Yes.
And ridden by Colm O'Donoghue. Now, it just shows you, Colm O'Donoghue a couple of years ago hadn't ridden a classic winner. He won on a 33-1 shot for O'Brien, I think, and now he's making them, he used to be the second rider or the third rider for them, and I think still behind Ryan Moore. But it's owned by the Niarchos family, which is fantastic. Jessica, to end up with clients like the Niarchos and that shows what a great horsewoman she is and a great trainer.
Yeah, she's doing a good job. The favourite, Happily, ran third.
Yeah, Happily, 5-4 favourite, ran quite well beaten, and we were pleased to see this thing win.
Okay, well, let's talk about the Cranji Mile, James. There's a South African connection there.
Well, Tony Millard took his Horse of Fortune, it's called. It used to be named Strongman, it used to be in South Africa, trained by Glenn Puller. They bought it out of South Africa, and it's now a 7-year-old in Hong Kong. And Carice rode him. You know Carice well because he rode for you for a long, long time. And it ran second to another, obviously,
another Hong Kong horse.
Hong Kong horse, and it was bred by Robin Bruss, Northfield Stud. So we know the connection, and he's as tough as they come, and these horses looking good. I'm not sure, having listened at I haven't been on the show since Asian Racing Conference. But I know that there was big talk about that we're going to have horses out here by August or December at the latest, this and another.
You were at the Asian Racing
Listening to the
Conference.
speech that was made by our connections, I don't see it happening.
So just from what you garnered, we're still under pressure.
Very disappointing. I think that we're under big pressure. Yeah.
Well, that's not good news.
which is not good news. Anyway,
Let's
this is not the show to go into it further. I'd like to have Adrian Todd here, and we'll discuss it with him and see how he sees it. But from my standpoint, I was in that discussion. I don't think we made the right progress.
All right. Well, let's talk about a horse that's still doing it. Mubtahij.
Mubtahij ran second in a Group 3 at Lone Star. So it shows you he's done pretty well, Mubtahij. And, it's a credit to Mike de Kock, basically. You can say what you like. A horse's grounding is always what makes him a 7-year-old still earning and racing and winning races, you know. And the old horse that we love is Vizirabad. Now, for those of you that don't remember Vizirabad, he won the 2-mile race at Dubai.
Yeah.
We tipped him again. Every year we tip him. Every year he comes up and wins.
Sumion normally rides him.
Sumion rode him for our man, and he's for the Aga Khan, and he's now won this Group 2 3 times. He now goes to the Ascot Gold Cup.
What about Marmella, the Duke of Marmalade?
That ran second.
Fantastic.
So, great for Duke of Marmalade that Marmella ran second. So that was, all good. And Vizirabad, obviously one of the best stayers in the whole world.
James, the story you've got to tell the public about how lucky you can get by claiming a horse. Now, this was some poker player or something. Tell the people the story.
Okay, now why can't we organise claiming races here? You're the innovator in KwaZulu-Natal. KwaZulu-Natal, the forefront of innovation. Let's get
I'm a big fan of claiming races and selling. I worked in America long enough to know what they're like and how they claim at different amounts. And a claim for big money is a better horse.
Yeah.
It's very good.
This horse in 2013, a poker dealer, was a dealer at Las Vegas in one of the casinos, decided he wanted to have a horse in training. So he spoke to a trainer, who's a girl you obviously had met. She's probably one of the punters, Mary Epler. Okay, I don't know. I'm just embellishing the story. Because you've got to embellish the story. Okay? But you just got to see the picture. She says, well, he's got a couple of dollars to spend. So she went and claimed this horse for $16,000 for him. Okay, and
by eavesdropper.
Eavesdropper. Now, Eavesdropper's got a phenomenal history as a stallion. Okay, he's a sire. He now stands. If I gave the viewers out there 25 guesses, they wouldn't get it. But we have mentioned this place before, so it's obviously a forefront of racing because there's been other horses that have been standing there that we've mentioned. Libya.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to have good footwork if you're in Libya because you got to miss a few landmines and things like that. Okay.
So Eavesdropper is the stallion of this horse.
He's the sire of this horse. Okay.
Paige McKinney. What's it?
His name's Paige McKinney. Okay.
Yo.
Now, so that was 2013. Now, this is how the story goes. The first start, she runs it in an allowance, which is a bit above claimers, $25,000 allowance. So now it's stepped up in class, it wins. It is now won.
He's out of it already.
He's out of it. He's so happy he can't believe it. But to date, till last Saturday, it had won 21 races, okay? And 13 of them were stakes races, including a group race, a Group 3. On Saturday, it won the Saltwater Mile, okay, which is a Group 3, and it's one of those bonus races where you have 3 races, and if you win all 3 races, it's a mile race. So this horse, our horse Paige McKinney, has won this guy. Do you know how much money he's won in the 3.5 years he's had? More than the training fees. $1.87 million this horse has won.
Wow.
for this guy, the poker dealer, okay? And it just shows you, it's one of those stories which makes horse racing. That's what's such fun. Yeah. But you've got to have opportunities.
Yeah.
You look at the Taking the Peace boys, they ended up buying a yearling and this and that. And that. Here's a claimer. Anyone can buy claimers. Yeah. You look at the horse that we had Plum of the Week, Sunny Bill du Toit, that was bought at the KwaZulu-Natal sale for $80,000, and then went on a dispersal sale, and Alison Wright had wanted it at KwaZulu-Natal. She bought it for $30,000.
Irish Flame.
So it just shows you. That's horse racing. That's fabulous.
That's current affairs, James. But hang on, there is a comedy evening coming up. We wanted to mention, yes.
Yeah. Shall we put this up?
Yeah, put this up. Let's have a look.
Oh, we can't, but we can talk about it. Obviously, every year, Phil Giorgio and his team organise the comedy evening.
The golf, they normally do the golf day for the cancer sufferers.
Well, this is for the cancer as well. So everything's going for cancer research. We're all getting to the age where cancer becomes a problem. You've been through it. I've been through it. We know what the business is. It's a Neil Diamond tribute. Barry Hilton's going to be there. He's not singing Neil Diamond.
No.
He just tells some stories.
I know the guy who does the Neil Diamond. I can just elaborate. He's Johan. Now, Johan, you'd think, well, who's this guy? James, you close your eyes, it's Neil Diamond. I've never heard, you know, we've had a lot of people do impressions of Neil Diamond. Do you do impressions?
No.
No, you don't do them anymore.
No,
but this Neil Diamond guy's brilliant. And, you know, having an hour of Barry Hilton is fantastic. So it's
there's now a YouTube clip going around on Barry Hilton, which is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. You know, he just is so funny, and he never says a swear word. So you can bring your family and your kids. We're the biggest problem because we MC this show, and we swear like troopers. So, but you know, it's a great evening. Thursday before the July. Get hold of Phil Giorgio. We'll put his number up when we edit the show. I know that Raymond can do this with all the new studio equipment and everything. So we'll put his number up where you can get hold of him. Come to the Elangeni Hotel and come and have a great evening. And we'll be putting it up every week.
I'll go anywhere to watch Barry Hilton. Wouldn't miss him.
And he's got a new show and now the show's got to be different class because there's a whole lot of new stuff that's going on. And Barry Hilton's show, it just morphs.
Yeah, that's right.
No, it's fantastic. Okay, let's go and have a look at the big speed day at Scottsville. We'll be back with you with your call. Well, when you go to Scottsville on the first Saturday, last Saturday in May or first Saturday in June, wherever it falls, you get to see four of the best sprint races you'll ever see in South Africa. 4 Group 1s. It's a wonderful, wonderful investment in speed horses that Gold Circle put together. And obviously with Sogo Sun as the main sponsors and the way the whole thing's put together, you end up having some classic racing. There's 2 set weight races. There's the handicap, which is the Golden Horse Casino Sprint, and it just is well worth watching. We had a fantastic day there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. So let's go and talk to you about what actually happened, because you were on the ground.
Yeah, it was very good racing. We starts off with the Alan Robertson, and again, it's a race that I'd like people to watch because the horse who won it had won so impressively debuting. And this is Pathfork. We were talking about Pathfork earlier, James. A horse called Mighty Ha. Mark Kahn, who's back in town. Another Group 1 from him. But funny enough, Johan Janssen van Vuren, who's had so many close calls with the Group 1, has won his first Group 1.
Was that his first one?
His first Group 1. And then Brahm and Lawrence had their first ones this year.
This year.
So it's snowballing for these big players now. But this was impressive. I remember going through the race and doing the race, and there were so many decent horses in it. And so many caught my eye. And the horse who caught my eye the most, funny enough, James, was Purist Bliss, and another Pathfork.
That's
yeah, he did. Beautiful filly. But the winner, you got to watch this. It's in Brahms colours, and this is a good filly, James.
Well, let's go and pick them up at the start. We're going to show them all from the start. And she's drawn 14 towards the outside. which credit must be said to the track manager. The horses won from any draw, didn't make any
Yeah, it
difference.
seemed like it, James, yeah.
It seemed like it was pretty even all over. Right, let's go and pick them up.
1,200 metres. Yeah, they come from the 1,200 metre marker. Outlandos D'Amour seem to be slightly slow into stride when the starter said go. Dagmar in Baroche right there. Star Flyers towards the outside. Vivier's on the right-hand side. Mazzari's trying to get into the action. Dagmar in Baroche, beat it towards the inside. Petra, there's a line of 6 or 7 moving past the 800 metre zone. Then we drop back to Gala, tucked in about 3 lengths off them. Outlandish D'Amour, can you keep it secret towards the outside? Purple sleeves and caps. Celtic Sea out of the ground, got about 4 to make up. Mighty High in the yellow. Gala's hunting to the inside. Ronnie's Candy. Absolute Cavalry Charge at the 400 in Baroche. Petra's there. Ronnie's Candy. Be Happy. On the outside, Vivier. Celtic Sea's now going to try and come through a gap. Coming to the 300. In Baroche hits the front. Celtic Sea's all over them. Can you keep it secret on the inside? Vivier's running on. But Celtic Sea catching the right wave home with In Baroche. Mighty High's flying on the outside. Mighty High got Celtic Sea. In Baroche, and can you keep it secret?
Well, no one can doubt that that wasn't the best horse in the race. Where that came from and the trouble it got into.
It was
Won
superb
a
performance.
superb
As
race.
Mark, I spoke to Mark afterwards, and he said they never left her alone. And when she did get a clear run, it was pretty late in the race. And she managed to grab Celtic Sea, Sean Terry's horse who sported the blinkers. And this Mighty High, good filly, James.
Well, Celtic Sea's got a form from Joburg.
Yes.
Okay. And so she's obviously got to have a big
Yes, a good
ability.
filly. Good
and
filly.
in Baroche, well, she was up there.
Speedy.
Went early, speed, you know.
She's a beautiful, robust filly, James, in Baroche. And he had won a 5, then he went to 11. And I always had my doubts about a 6 in this league. She ran very well. She's a very good filly, but possibly a speedball filly.
It may be put in the race a little early too. You
Yes,
know,
possibly,
remember
yeah.
last time when she won the 1100 meters, she came from off them and sailed past them.
Yeah.
She's
very talented.
Pretty fast race. But the form world type was Can You Keep a Secret ran over all of these horses tied up.
Yeah.
The way this filly ran, she's now put herself to the forefront of the 2-year-old.
She's leading the Equus Awards, my book.
Yeah. Okay, we
Let's
go
go
on
look at the boys.
to the boys. Yeah.
Yeah, James, just as I say, I looked at this field and I thought the favourite was Cue the Music, the Oratorio, who had done so well in the Godolphin Bob and looked very impressive. Had to stretch out the extra 100 metres as well, but there were horses that came into town, and I will mention a horse who found a lot of trouble. Cirillo found a lot of trouble. The Pomodoro had nowhere to go, and Best put a line through that run. But the rest of the field, there were some horses who were unbeaten. There were horses that were very talented. But it goes down to the Godolphin Bob form, because the other Oratorio, Van Halen, who had oil to the front last time, comes from slightly off them this time. Young Craig Zaki, another Group 1 for him.
Yeah.
And he gave us a bit of a chance. But at all stages, I seem to think Cue the Music was going to win. And it just gets run out of it.
Funnily enough, I thought he might be the best horse in the race. And
Cue the Music.
The times showed that the fillies and the colts, very little between them, exact same time. Let's go and pick them up at the start.
Set. Crown and Country to settle in, and away they go. Cue the Music, 5 off the left-hand side. Bounced out with early speed. He's right there in touch with them. Top Masters showing some speed early on. Chimichurri run towards the inside. William the Silent in the red and black silks towards the 900 is showing good early toe. Demise on the stand side, top of the class is pacing it with them. Goliath Heron towards the outside, Van Halen. At this stage, Traces 2.5 lengths off them. In Cahoots further back, Sulkers down the middle. Chirillo's got the red cap and has dropped off them 4 lengths or so. Towards the inside, Crown and Country. Chimichurri run tries to get closer. Twist of Fate. Wide open coming to the 400. Traces makes an early move but does start to run around. Cue the Music still right there. Top of the class towards the outside. Traces comes home well. Goliath Heron on the outside. Van Halen's running on. Cue the Music's fighting on courageously. William the Silent on the inside. Van Halen now puts in a big stride. Cue the Music's going with him on the inside. Cue the Music is coming back at Van Halen. Van Halen just won it from Cue the Music. Chimichurri ran and then came Goliath Heron. This horse Van Halen has pulled it out the fire.
Well, it shows you the form because Cue the Music beat Van Halen pretty easily last time.
Yeah.
But Van Halen's obviously settled in now down
Different
here.
tactics.
And different tactics. Cue the Music went early.
Yes.
And last time Van Halen went to the front and dropped him. I thought Craig Zaki rode a cracking race on this horse.
I saw it come back in for wonderful to see the species back in the winner's box and Vito and his partners. But I had a look at it in the winner's box. It's a very nice horse, James. And first two, a great success for Pippa, both by Oratorio.
Yeah.
So it's a thrilling result, proving the stallion can do it anywhere.
Yeah, he's certainly showing, that they come early and they go on. Very, very good horses. And well done obviously to Limpo Retail, who bred this. It was a Cape Premier horse, and Fever Enzelaxis and Rob McNabb and those boys.
Yeah, some new boys as well. I was speaking to Cornet about them, some new boys. They're going to be over the moon, but...
And good luck to the species. They've always been good with 2-year-olds. This horse has had more runs than anything in the race.
Yeah.
And came out and won the Group 1. So that was very good. Cue the Music, I just thought, maybe 100 yards too early.
Possibly.
Just have to sit on him a little longer. But it's hard in Group 1s when you're going better than the field to be able to sit a little longer.
Yeah.
Then obviously our champion,
the second Philly
Dennis Pryor, every single.
I thought it had it to do. I really thought that Candace Bass's horse would win it, and it got a fantastic ride. Candace Bass's horse, it timed it perfectly. Aldo is a very good rider, and I see him up here, James. Yeah. Puts in his run, goes past the others that it's going past to get up to Somali, but Somali was never going to be denied.
Yeah, and bred my Main Chance. And obviously, that was the second big one that Main Chance bred, because I think they bred the Pathfork, the one that Phillies
that's right.
race.
And you know what was good to see Glenn Hatt, who manages their racing, come up into town to get the award. Good to see him up here. But local boy, Dennis Dreyer, Sean Veal, very good success again. As I say, when I watched the race, I thought, well, Magic Wonderland's going to cruise up, but it wasn't to be denied, the winner.
Well, let's go and pick them up at the start and see exactly what happens. The winner's drawn down the inside, and the second horse is drawn down the outside. Marsh said to me in Australia, I was chatting to him, he said, just the outside draw. And I said, the middle's not too bad. You'll be able to get over and you'll see it will run well.
He followed the Van Halen line, but didn't quite go as far as Van Halen did.
Okay, let's go and pick them up.
South African Filly Sprint, Grade 1. Field comes to attention. Yeah, they come from the 1200 metre marker. Bit of an untidy beginning. Too fat to fly. One of those slow to go when the starters said go. Live Life Saucer tucked in a few lengths off. Right-hand side, Green Plains and Princess Peach are showing good toe. Winter's Forge 3 off the right-hand side. Right on the left-hand side, Joe's Bond is very speedy. Red and white silks. Rose and Bloom, Sommelitz in the yellow towards the inside. Neptune's Range 3 lengths off. The Secret is out, only a length and 3/4 off the leaders. Towards the outside, Exquisite Touch, Magical Wonderland, extreme right-hand side. On the bridle, just got 2 lengths to make up. Behind runners, Too Fat to Fly. Live Life's trying to get closer. Joe's Bond coming to the 300. Look right. Magical Wonderland starts up her motor. Exquisite Touch is trying to get into the action. Green Plains, Sommelid's on the inside. Magical Wonderland looking to put her hooves in the right places, and Sommelid's going with her. Neptune's Rain is absolutely flying, but Sommelid's going to get there from Magical Wonderland. Neptune's Rain and the Secret is out.
Well, Sean Veal put this in the race at the right time. Dennis obviously got her ready perfectly, this filly Sommelid. She just got beaten last time by the third filly, Neptune's Rain. All prepping, getting ready. Dennis, he knows when to put the finishing
he's a very
touches
good
on
trainer.
Yeah.
And again, a great success for Pippa.
Yeah.
Var.
Oratorio, she's had a
great weekend.
Day.
She was up here.
Well
done to Pippa and her gang.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a very good run by Neptune's Rain.
What is interesting is this is out of a German man. It shows you the influence that overseas horses have had on the South African stud book.
Oh,
you
you
know,
just got to go through them. Ask John Costa about his team down in Cape Town when Klaarvlei won the championship, how many imported mares they had. He was telling me once, he said plenty.
Well, the point is that these guys that come to this country and put all this money in and really love our racing, when you think of it, they can go anywhere. They don't have to come to South Africa. But Andreas Jacobs,
a good man,
been fantastic for this business. And well done to them. They deserve it. And obviously, as you say,
you know, there were some big players in this game. You know, the runner-up, this was a very good filly, owned by Marsh and Britain, and people like that, big players, was a used horse in the day.
Yeah.
The third horse as well, it's a new man on the block. And is that your cell phone?
Yeah, it's
Dave McLean.
I just started up my motorbike on just to get out of here. You know?
Dave McLean, his horse was 30, so another new guy on the block. He's a player, and you know it was good to see there. You know, Drockenstein, Chris Fanica, all had big horses in this race, and it was a good race.
Okay, then we go to the highlight of the day, which is the Sogo Sun, and this horse shown that he's a very, very good horse. This horse, Bold Respect.
He's a very good horse because he's a galloper.
I asked Brett before the chapter challenge, what should I put in of his? And he said, put Bold Respect in. I said, is he good enough, Brett? Is he really good enough? You know me, I love questioning people. I like to hear what they've got to say. And he said to me, yeah, I think he is. I think he's the right horse in the Golden Horse. I liked your ex-horse, Frenchie. I thought he might be the right horse, but I see they put the blinkers on him, which I think was an error.
It didn't fire,
But it certainly didn't help him.
You know who runs a very good race, the runner-up?
Pinnacle Peak.
Sham's horse.
Dory Sham.
Good horse.
Dory Sham's a great horsewoman. Let me tell you, she knows about horses, and she's born and bred with them. She was a great show jumper in her day. And
good luck to her. It was a fantastic run, James. This Karori, again, stamping the quality of Karori, but also a galloper. The front two are gallopers. And I think they had most of them thinking about it. And Brett Crawford first and third. But the Sherrills, they're having a good run.
Good luck to them. I think they bred it too, which is fantastic.
Ascot stud.
Yeah, but I'm sure they were involved in it maybe. And maybe not, I just seem to remember, but certainly born and bred, born on the Ascot farm with Rose and Ashley Parker. And
let's go and have a see. Someone's just started his motorbike up, but this is the big one, the Sogo Sun. Let's go and have a look at this race.
Riders back in. Gates fly and the speed is on from the 1200 meter marker. London Call as per usual is right there, but nothing as quick as Bold Respect in the black and white towards the inside. Pinnacle Peak's going to try and match strides at the 1,000 peg. Narfa's in the blues, Sunset Eyes the blue cap. Sir Frenchie's a little bit strong towards the inside, always in charge. Casimir ridden for luck towards the inside rail, also in the green behind London Call, the second of the green silks. Towards the outside, Rommy's Boy, Trip to Heavens, only 3 lengths off in the blue silks. Speed Point towards the outside. Attenborough's got a mountain to climb. Tandava's out the back door, 7-8 to go. Our mate Ard. Bold Respect at the 400 meter marker. London Call, Casimir's on the inside, looking to run on. Speed Point to the outside and Pinnacle Peak, but it's Bold Respect in front. Bold Respect, Sunset Eyes. Rocky Valley's running on, Attenborough on the outside. Bold Respect reaches for the stars and he shines brightly. Bold Respect, Pinnacle Peak second, Sunset Eyes, and then came Rocky Valley. A huge victory for Bold Respect. Pune Orfa, they rise to...
Well, there you go, Bold Respect, and 3-year-old in the race. It looked like he had a mountain to climb.
Had
he won very easily.
A lot to do, but you know, we had a horse we had to take out, and also a 3-year-old. And I just don't know if sprinters are as strong as they were a few years back, where you had the big horses used to come through. And so I thought it had more of an open look about it, and it turned out to be the case, you know.
Well, if you analyse the race, you go and look at London Call. I think he's the worst handicapped horse in South Africa. He's got a merit rate of 117. And I don't think he's won a group race, you know. There's a horse that he's run pinnacles, and keeps getting a penalty. He's got to give weight to these horses because that's what the race looks like. Attenborough won the computer form
Yeah,
sprint,
he's
so he
got a-
deserved
he's-
to be
he's
there.
got a
But
big
1200 might just be beyond him, and they tried to hold him up. Trip to Heaven's lost his form completely.
Yeah,
he looked
he's-
like one of the better horses around. But
Yeah, if you look at it, James, these 3-year-olds had a chance. So
Yeah.
you gave Sir Frenchie a chance.
Yeah.
Other Bold Respect was a big runner.
yeah, well, when you look at Pinnacle Peak and Bold Respect, they're both 3-year-olds, okay? And Pinnacle Peak's only had 7 starts in his life. He's a very, very likely
He's a
race
galloper,
horse. He's a damn good horse, and good luck to Jono Finlayson. You know,
Yeah, he was there. I spoke with him.
yeah, he's a guy who's a real great supporter.
Great
and he's really
supporter.
interested in racing.
Yeah,
That's
he
what I
loves
like
it.
about
He loves
John
the game.
Finlayson. He's really interested in racing. So it was, you were there. Unfortunately, I missed it. I love the day. I think it's a great day's racing.
I love it. It's always a tough race. There's always one or two that come up and you think, how did that win? But that's the nature of the beast, and I'm pleased that we saw the 2-year-olds sorted themselves out, and gave me renewed respect and Pathfork.
Certainly did, and well done to Sandown Stud. Let's hope that they have all the success and luck in the future with the horse. We think a lot of horsemen out there like this horse, and it was a good day's racing all around. Next week, I think I'm going to, you're away, so I'm going to have Kevin Shea in the studio.
Shazzy.
And what we might do with Shazzy is we might just go through the July log and try and break it down, see what's going on.
You will have the daily news, the Will Avington, you'll have
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
decent races.
Yeah, and we'll do the July log in your call, and we'll go through it and see what the story
Yeah,
is.
very interesting.
Excellent. Well, to all of you fans out there, thanks for joining us, and we hope that you've enjoyed the show. And until next week, have a great week's racing.
Your world of winners is now online at www.teletrack.com. Simply subscribe to log into your account from any mobile device in South Africa and access a wide variety of content from our membership package options. Listen in via a live audio stream, catch live racing locally and internationally, or view a wide variety of Teletrack magazine shows to stay informed and updated on the go at any time. It's never been easier. Go to teletrack.com now.